Welcome everyone to this live session. My name is Jenny and I work with CORE. We'll be covering the Afghan Placement and Assistance program in the U.S. Many of you have asked about the services available to you through this program, so we're going to take some time today to share a bit more information with you. Please do remember when commenting during this live session not to share any personal or confidential information as we are public-facing. The Afghan Placement and Assistance, or APA, is a program that offers services to Afghans who entered the U.S. and were granted humanitarian parole. The U.S. government is providing short-term funding to resettlement agencies in the U.S. in order to provide APA services. So you might be wondering, what are these services? Or how much money will I receive? Or perhaps you've heard your friends and your family talking about the services that they've received. Let me share with you that the U.S. government funding for the APA program covers the basic needs that you and your family may have. Do keep in mind, though, the services will not cover all of your needs. The U.S. government has asked resettlement agencies to provide services in order to fulfill the APA program requirements. Resettlement agencies are bound to certain rules of the government, and they cannot act outside of the APA rules and guidelines. Resettlement agencies employ staff, who are often called caseworkers or case managers, who directly provide these required services. We'll cover more about the resettlement agency in another session, so don't worry too much about that right now. The APA services include a wide range of topics. They include airport pickup, appropriate housing, food and weather-appropriate clothing, access to healthcare and healthcare insurance, enrolling children in school, offering cultural orientation, and offering access to other government assistance enrollment. Services may look slightly different for you depending on your circumstances. For example, one APA service is supporting school enrollment for children. Some resettlement agencies are still working from home due to the COVID pandemic, so this might mean that your caseworker will contact you by phone or WhatsApp or another messaging application to request the necessary information in order to enroll your children into school. Other resettlement agencies may start to work from the office soon. In this case, your caseworker may visit your home in person, or they might request that you visit the office to provide this information. So just keep in mind, and please try to remember, services may look a bit different for you depending on your circumstances. Now you might be asking, how long do APA services last? How long can I expect to receive the support? And it's a great question. The APA services are available for 30 to 90 days. As we discussed before, these services will help cover basic needs of you and your family, but they are not going to cover all of your needs. The goal for you is to obtain employment quickly to cover you and your family's needs. Please take note that while the APA services only last 30 to 90 days, some of your other government assistance will last a bit longer. For example, your caseworker will support you in getting access to appropriate healthcare and healthcare insurance. The initial insurance will be government funded with little cost to you, and this insurance will last up to 8 months depending on your individual circumstances. Things like household income, the size of your family, and many, many other factors will determine how long your government assistance will last. But please do remember and keep in mind, some government assistance, such as your initial healthcare insurance, is available for a longer period of time than the initial APA services. So to wrap up, the APA program offers services in order to meet the basic needs of you and your family. The resettlement agencies receive a limited amount of funding in order to arrange things like basic housing for you, make sure you have food supplies in your home, and prepare seasonally appropriate clothing like winter jackets and warm hats as needed. Do take note that there is no additional large amounts of money that you will receive from the resettlement agency. The U.S. government provides the funding to the resettlement agencies, and those agencies have staff, caseworkers, or case managers who then provide services to meet your basic needs. Now we would like to answer some of your questions. While we won't have time to answer all questions, our team will be monitoring the comments and answering them as quickly as possible. Please do remember when commenting during this live session not to share any personal or confidential information as we are public facing. And you can still continue to send us direct messages with any sensitive questions that may have confidential information. Okay, so the first question we have here is, when does my resettlement agency provide me with welcome money? Great question. As we discussed a little bit earlier, resettlement agencies do not provide large amounts of money or welcome money. This is unfortunately a rumor and a myth. Resettlement agencies receive a limited amount of funding to meet basic needs and provide services. The APA program does, however, provide a one-time small amount of pocket money, about $20 to $50 per person. The next question we have here says, it has been more than 4 months. We're waiting for our departure flights from the military base. Why is it taking so long to resettle us in our selected city in the U.S.? Yes, good question. I can see that you've been waiting for a very long time. Let me say that the resettlement agencies are working with all of their local offices in different towns across the country to find the best community for you and your family. They will work hard to prepare for your arrival and to be ready to help you find housing, access to healthcare and schools, and connect to services, including preparing for and finding employment, access to government assistance, and referrals to legal service providers to provide you with immigration support. You should also be aware that you will likely be placed in temporary lodgings upon arrival in your new community, while more permanent housing is arranged. So please do know that as soon as your destination community has the capacity to be able to welcome you and your family, you will be able to travel there to begin your new lives in the U.S. Okay, our next question here. I am one of the Afghan evacuees. My question is, what other assistance are available and that we are eligible to receive? Great question. I'm so glad that you asked. Afghans who were granted humanitarian parole are eligible for the APA program that we've been discussing today. You can receive assistance through your resettlement agency for at least 30 days and up to 90 days. Remember, this program may be limited and may depend on your family size, age of family members, income, and the resettlement agency. Providing housing, household necessary items, food and clothing, cultural orientation, helping you and your family members with job search and job placement, enrolling children in school, and access to healthcare and health insurance are some examples of the APA services that you'll receive through your resettlement agency. One more question here. How can we get help with an employment program for obtaining a CDL? Most importantly, the training school for trucks. This is a great question. And I know the CDL is referring to a very specific driving license for very large trucks. So you will be able to work once you receive your eligibility documents, such as your employment authorization document, also referred to as EAD, and Social Security card. So employment authorization document and Social Security card. Your resettlement agency will provide support in your job search, or they'll refer you to another agency to support you with resume building, interview preparation, job search, and actual job interviews. Receiving a CDL, a very special type of driving license, requires some studying and practice. You may ask your resettlement agency for support with this. They may be able to help you directly or, again, refer you to another agency that can offer you help. Great question. So another really good question here. What happens when the APA program ends after the 30 to 90 days? And thank you so much for this important question. This is a really good point. So the goal is for adults in the household to obtain employment as soon as possible to cover you and your family's needs. Since the APA program is only available for a short period of time, earning an income will be the best way to cover your housing and other basic needs. Okay, and I think we have time for one more question here. What if I am unable to find a job as quickly as I would like to? Finding a job can definitely be a challenge in the U.S. However, the resettlement agency will provide support in your job search or in referring you to another agency that can support you. For those unable to find work immediately, there is limited government assistance that can temporarily support some of your needs. These types of assistance will vary based on your household income, the number of people in your household, and many other factors. So please do speak with your resettlement agency for details. It's also important to remember that your first job in the U.S. may not be your favorite job, but your first job in the U.S. will give you good work experience, practice with speaking English, and income to cover your household costs. Work experience and improved English abilities will then help you find better jobs in the future. Those are all of the questions we have time for today. I want to thank you again for joining us for today's live session on the APA program services. We appreciate all of your questions and hope we were able to offer you some new information. We will be offering more live sessions, so please do watch for our future posts. And for any questions that were not answered today, you may send us a private message and one of our team will get back to you as soon as they can.